question is, can students simply avoid learning grammar by learning only chunks, hence without understanding how words are related to each other in a collocation grammatically? What do you think?
It's a bit of a slippery slope, so we have to take a lot of things into account here. Virtually, if we take, this vacuum and, some unicorn in this vacuum, yes, but there are so many, just hell of a lot of buts in real life. It's one thing. It all depends, again, on the purpose. If you are learning a language for the sake of passing an exam, especially, Russian state exam, of course, you need to be quite knowledgeable about grammar because you will be tested on your knowledge of grammar, not on your fluency, not on how authentic you are, but this is going to be specifically tested. The same, but to a lesser extent, goes with Cambridge exams. You get specifically tested, in much incomparably more reasonable way than what we can have at schools, not in any school, just in some cases, but still it matters. It's one thing. And of course, here you need to have some specific knowledge of grammar because, again, you have to demonstrate this specific knowledge, right? It's one thing. Another thing is that imagine that there are some students, they do not care about any exams, they do not care about any grammar, but they kind of believe that the way they should be taught is that you give them some formula, and ask them to follow this form, and they believe in that. This is their learners' belief, right? And you might be endlessly brilliant. You might kind of have super powerful lexical approach, but if you start teaching them this way, without any grammar tables, formulas, whatever, they will question your approach, and they won't be confident. And no matter how fantastic you are, they will not trust you, right? And that's why they will end up just thinking, come on, what is she doing? Or what is he doing? How can I learn this way? Maybe she doesn't know what she's doing, or maybe he doesn't know what he's doing. Maybe he's a bad teacher. Maybe I have to go to some grammar translation classes, whatever. So what I'm driving at is that you can be infinitely perfect, but it all depends on your students' needs. Sometimes your students just need to know grammar specifically, and it also can depend on your students' beliefs. We know that, affective filter theory, or the concept, that when your learners don't believe and when your learners do not find it significant, they will never learn that. Okay?
Yes, agree, really. You have to make sure that they understand why, what for, And by the way, also, I'd like to pick up on what you said on this. You mentioned that, of course, it's not just about like chunks, make sure that you spice it up with some traditional explanations, it's fine, some theory, because how come are your students going to learn their grammar by just learning chunks? It will be great if you do both of it, like the chunk with grammar and the rules and the practice, because you cannot just accumulate, for example, chunks with the present simple embedded, or I don't know, chunks with passive voice embedded. You will still have to teach the basics, the smattering, let's put it that way. So I think it's both. It shouldn't, I think, resort to just giving rules and activities, but also learning them in chunks and analyzing, even beforehand. But at the same time, it shouldn't be just about teaching chunks. Today we're just learning chunks, tomorrow too. It wouldn't work. So we need to find this happy medium, this golden medium. Let's put it.
Absolutely.
Agree?
For example, the way it can be done practically is that you somehow have some, content-based manipulation. Kind of your students read the text, or they do something with language, something meaningful with the language that contains these grammar structures. Then you have some explicit explanation. Okay, so today we're going to talk about passive voice. Passive voice is from this way. We need it there. We need it in this context. And then you might ask your students to come up with the sentences or the chunks that they think they will use more frequently.
Right.
For example, we can say something. I often get asked the question, blah, blah, blah. It's a nice chunk, and it's passive, and it's highly usable. Then your students come up with these chunks that they believe they will use more frequently. Then they just memorize these chunks, and you kind of, again, you combine the benefits, you do both. They can understand why it is done this way, and also they have something active in their active command just to use straight away. And later on, they will be able to extrapolate this understanding on into more structures, and that's fine. So you combine the benefits here.
Oh yeah, agree, really. And also probably the best bet would be to teach, for example, present simple, yeah, and just do some activities. And then when you come across chunks with present simple, just make a special point of it, yeah, and say, listen, this is present simple. Let's look at how it is manifested in this very chunk, yeah. How, like, ask questions which would also lead to understanding, yeah. So this is how you do it. So it's not like you learn grammar and then you separate it from vocabulary or you separate it from speaking. Always make sure to make them aware of it, because we might think, come on, it's obvious, present simple, yeah, or this passive we get asked, but it's not for our students. They don't have that much exposure, right?
Exactly,
that's what matters.
And exactly, it's all about this conscious understanding, meaningful approach. And again, in this case, please do not forget about recycling and revising and exposure. For example, it's not that you've covered present simple once and you never come back to it again. But each time, whenever you encounter some nice chunk in present simple, please draw students' attention to them. Please ask them to analyze, okay, why do we use present simple here? How does this work? In what kind of situation do you think you could use this chunk, more importantly? Yeah, so this is kind of constant work and work and work. And meaningful approach, conscious approach.
Yes, combined, yeah, not just one thing. Don't get us wrong, the lexical approach is not just about chunks, it's about everything, but with the operative word, awareness. We're getting some comments here. I'm really happy, guys, that you're commenting along the